Okay, hello everybody. Thank you so much for watching Tea Talks. We have Troy Kuntz here, Mr. Dickinson, joining us today. I'm sure this is, like, you are familiar with his face. Maybe I'm sure you know who he is because he's a huge part of the community and involved in a lot of things, doing wonderful, incredible legacy creating things. And just so proud to know you, so happy you are here. You're doing such work for here and beyond.
Well,
I'm in love. I'm in love. My eyes are like, yeah. So what inspires you to do all the things that you do? Because this is just one element and it sounds like holy energy you have to put in towards that.
Yeah.
But I know you from the science.
Yeah, Southwest Art Gallery and Science Center.
Yes, that's opening.
Absolutely.
And then I hear you're doing it, and then I'm like, and then you do other things too, as we communicated. So like, how do you do it all?
Oh, I just try. I always joke, but maybe it's not as much joking, but like being an elementary school teacher, I don't have a lot of treasure to give, so I try to give the most of my time and my talents to things that are important to me, and creating groups of people I like to be around, and I've always had a belief to, when you're anywhere to leave it better, then you leave it better than when you came, whether it's someone's house or the city you're living in, and so I think there's a lot of things that I'm passionate about, and there's a lot of things that with the right group of people you can make some amazing things happen, and so I get way over involved, but
how do you get involved? Like, how did you hear about
knowing people? I don't know. Having been born and raised in Dickinson, I've gotten to know a lot of people in many different entities. I think actually the first time we met, I think we were planning a teacher bowling party.
Oh my
gosh! Working at the Paragon,
yes!
Right?
Oh my
I was like, where did our paths first cross? I'm pretty sure it was.
It was Paragon. That, but then my memory was a different thing. So whoa, that is wow, that's way back.
Yeah.
Good, that's so cool. My mind's blown. I'm like, you're so right. I remember that, and that was a fun party too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You had the same energy back then.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, it's just, I try to, live my passions out loud. And so I think people see that and hear it, and through the different, volunteer opportunities or things that I do, just meeting people, and then someone has a crazy idea and they're like, who would have great energy for that? Let's talk to Troy. That was kind of how I got involved with the Southwest Art Gallery and Science Center. Janelle Stone King, whom I've known for many years. She was dating a friend of mine when I was in college, so we met a lifetime ago, and just have always loved her energy and just been drawn to her passion for the community and the things that she does. And they were almost kind of a year in of the first kind of ideas, those really hard, let's throw some ideas out, thinking sessions, planning sessions, and they came to me. I don't even remember if it was she specifically reached out or we happened to bump into each other somewhere, and was talking about this idea. And so, part of one thing we've really been increasing in the libraries of the Dickinson Public Schools is STEM education. We've been working with different local and national organizations, getting grant money and installing these incredibly Cal Ripken STEM centers in all of our schools.
Can you elaborate on that for people who maybe don't know?
Sure, absolutely. So we've been working with the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation. They're out of the East Coast. And so all 6 of the elementary schools have these STEM centers with just different robotics and circuits and all sorts of different things. Lincoln was the first school to receive one last year, and then we really, saw how the kids were enjoying it and how it really just increased the education and the engagement that the students had. And so we worked with the district and some local organizations to secure funding. And then last spring, we're able to roll them out in all 6 of our elementary schools. So we've done a ton, really kind of changed the library program. When I stepped in, I was in the 4th grade classroom for 6 years and then moved into the library position. And at that time, it was a lot just like library skills, as in like how to use the Dewey Decimal System, which is still used in public libraries in most schools. And then like some like basic research type things, both books and then like databases and online. And we've been expanding that, to work with the teachers and the students. But through while pursuing my master's, I've seen all of the amazing things happening in other libraries and places with STEM education and computer science and cybersecurity. And we're a one-to-one district, so all of the students are on devices. K2 is iPads, 3-5 is Chromebooks. So it's like, if you think like toddlers too, from the moment they're creating their digital footprint, from the moment before they can speak.
Mm-hmm.
We have kids on devices.
Right.
As a babysitter, but also really great educational things out there too, but we're not having any conversations about cybersecurity and safety. And they're, like I said, they're already creating that permanent record, that digital footprint of who they are as a digital citizen.
Mm-hmm.
And so we saw that importance, we're giving kids these devices, but we're not teaching them respectful and responsible use on them.
Wow.
So we started doing some things with digital citizenship, which kind of just led into let's do some coding and computer programming, which there's amazing programs for even pre-reader courses where kiddos can start learning the basics of code, which is wild, and they love it, and it's so much fun.
Yes. But back in Washington, they opened up a coding school for kids.
Yeah.
And I'm so when we moved back, I was well, we definitely got to have one of those here, because
Absolutely.
That's incredible to be able to build your own website. That
everything.
You can never have enough coders, because the world is just
in every profession, you can't avoid technology. I went to a state tech conference, and just looking at the technology in agriculture. These,
I didn't even think about that.
These tractors are essentially just robots.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, they were someone was talking about just the instrumentation in it, and they were talking about how the opportunities we have in the state. You have all of these students who let's say they want to stay on the family farm, but they also want to make the big bucks. Number 2, I think the second listing for tech jobs across the nation is remote. So talking about somebody that can still stay local, and that's why
that warms my heart so
North
much.
Dakota's been doing amazing things with technology and technology education. We were the first in the nation to roll out a computer science cybersecurity standards for K-12. And so we're working into that, and so there's a lot of other states looking at what we're doing in the realms of technology, and we've just had an opportunity to work with, like I said, the state and other national organizations to keep just pushing that, because it really is, it's in every profession. And it was just mind-blowing to hear about the amount of technology involved in agriculture. I never came from an ag family, but of course growing up in North Dakota was very aware. And it's we have the, a combine that is essentially in itself a robot, and then if something goes wrong, they used to, hands-on the trades, the mechanics are important, but on the other end, who's going to come fix the computer in there?
Okay, I just had this so I don't know what this is, but that's what's going on in my brain. And okay, so in the Dinosaur Museum in Bismarck, they have a tractor, a simulated tractor machine game. Okay. And I'm not kidding, my son Cade, he is I'm Cade, would you like to go to the Dinosaur Museum, in town? And he's yeah, the one with the tractor in Bismarck? He's only 3, so he doesn't talk like that. But I just realized, I wonder if they are going to create some kind of tractor that you can, from your phone or whatever, oh, what you doing? I'm just,
Absolutely. I mean,
combining my farm
like,
or whatever.
Like
I don't know the
said,
lingo.
I'm not really versed in agriculture, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it sounds
In the
like some
in
of
the
them really
future,
are
I mean,
already like most of that is
wow.
which is pretty wild.
Because they have these like you can like feed your chickens or something when you're like not home.
Or like
because they just from your app. Somebody built something like that.
The like Roomba lawnmower now, like literally just like electric fence and just runs and mows your lawn, and I'm like, right. Like,
I used to think those things were so funny. And we have like 2 dogs in the house and like a toddler, and I'm like, I could really use a Roomba. I see why those are so essential
just,
now.
Like, yeah, everyone made so much fun of made fun of them when they came out, and then it's like you can't live without it.
Oh yeah, I remember in 6th grade when it was like we had to like take these like typing classes, and I was like, oh, this is just a phase of life. Like I am not learning how to type.
Right.
That was a mistake.
Absolutely.
Yeah, big lesson there.
Yep.
But I'm really fast at this point, so I'm not even.
Yeah, I teach keyboarding, but I've never taught myself. Like, do as I say, not as I do.
Oh wow! Well, isn't
I tried
there something?
to like go back and I'm like, no, I never learned. Like I had, like I said, classes in like junior high, and then I just never did it because it just created a 4-finger system that worked for me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what else? Tell us more.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah. So, school, STEM education, Southwest Arc County Science Center we covered, library board. Try to do like some local theater, which is a ton of fun. I haven't got like at DSU. I minored in theater while at DSU, and have stayed doing some community theater a little bit here and there.
What does that look like?
So the Dickinson Public Schools Foundation does a murder mystery dinner theater fundraiser every year in February.
Oh my gosh.
And I've been involved, I think this will be like my 13th or 14th year of doing that.
Of course.
Which is it's just so much fun. Like, plus, the foundation does an amazing job raising money to support our schools and our teachers. This conference that I'm going to next week, we wrote a grant to the foundation, and they are paying for our entire expenditures to attend this conference in Florida. So like they raise an insane amount of money that just goes right back to the students and the teachers, which is just incredible to have. So not only wanting to help them raise the money, but it's just that like little like creative outlet, like having done so much theater, and then it's like, okay, for sure I do that production every year because it's just so much fun. Just kind of a Josh Nichols, I don't know if you know him or met him.
I know of the name,
yeah. So he's also kind of a Mr. Everything Dickinson. He started out directing, and then he decided to start writing the scripts himself. Like, we would get a script, and then we would just, play with it for like a month, and change things and adapt things and whatever. And he would be looking at scripts, and he's like, there's really nothing out there that I want to do. And so every year, like during the year's production, we'll kind of brainstorm like what would be some fun themes, because it's usually tied around a theme. Like we've had pirates, or there was like funeral for a gangster, or like a hoedown, so we've ever done like different themes, and so we kind of just brainstorm like what would be funny. Last year was a retirement home. It's a ton of fun. So then it's it gives a theme to like not only tie the story around.
How's the turnout and everything?
Yes,
I'm like
the
this.
theme and stuff too. Yeah, typically when tickets go on sale, like the first night usually sells out within like an hour or two. Yeah, people are waiting and expect it, and so it's just an awesome fundraiser, ton of fun.
And it's just once a year?
Yeah. Usually it's around like Valentine's Day.
Do you think about doing it more than that because people are just so into it?
There's been talk. It is completely like all of the like us actors and things are completely like volunteer.
Passion projects.
It's passion projects. It's a great fundraiser. We have a ton of fun with it. There has been talk, I know like other communities have reached out like, hey, can you come like do one night? Like I think someone from a Kill Deer organization or something had asked, and we just were never able to make it work. But there has been lots of talk about additional performance dates. But
oh my gosh.
A ton of fun, yeah. And then, there's like a pretty core group of people that have been doing it for several years. So there's a lot of improvising with it too, because it's like we're doing crowd interaction, so you got to just be prepared, or there's question and answer, Some of the years we do multiple endings, some of them we do one ending. So there's all of this, just like think on your feet, interacting with the crowd, and it's just a
Do you get people who like want to maybe like just kind of do like improv acting classes?
There was for a while a small group of people that were just
like
kind
who
of
just
doing
love theater.
Yeah, doing some improv and playing around with that. I'm much more about I prefer scripted theater. My older brother used to be in an improv group, and I went to a conference where his group was holding a session while I was in college, and they were like, "Oh, Travis's little brother, this is going to be awesome." And like I said, I'd rather have a script. Like, my least favorite part of doing the dinner theater is that question and answer. Like, I'm pretty good at thinking on my feet, but like improv is not my favorite type of performance or theater. So when there was a group, I never participated, which I probably should have, because like, get out of your comfort zone, right? But there was a crew for a while that was doing some, and I think it just kind of trickled off. But
I feel like that'd be so fun.
Yeah.
So fun. But then maybe once I do it, I'll be like, scripted's actually a little better.
Right, I can sit and chat all the time, but then it's like when you're a character and you have, goals and things that you have to say or can't say, and just a lot to think about. Everyone just kind of gives me crap, because when it comes down, like, we'll have rehearsals and be like, okay, let's practice question answer. And then, of course, when we, as like cast, we'll ask each other questions. And like, know the script better than anyone, right? So they're these super detailed, like, at this time or on this date, or how old are you, or who's your wife, and like just these really deep questions that none of the audience ever thinks to ask anyway. And I was like, you guys stop, like, I don't like this part. But
how do you have all of this stuff going on through the year, and like, how do you not just like get overwhelmed? Like, how do you maintain your schedule and keep your cool and keep your energy and live life? And
yeah, it gets to be a lot, but I do a lot of the same things, so I kind of know that January, February is taken up by the play, and so I try to like ease off on a lot of other things during that to kind of put my focus there. It's one of the reasons people are like, Troy, like, why don't you have like a pet? And I'm like, because I don't go home. Like, I literally work, maybe stop by to change, and then go to the next thing. It's like, I have a plant that's alive, and I'm pretty excited about that. Just one. All the rest of, like, I fake succulents. I'm like, I can't keep a succulent. It's like one plant that's been alive for, like, I think since my first year teaching, so it's hardy. It had to live through a fourth grade classroom. It was my classroom pet, so like it gained a lot of
stamina.
Yeah.
That plant is like in it. It's like, I am Troy's plant.
Yeah. I know how the schedule goes.
Oh my gosh. Jeez Louise. I feel like I'm asking advice because you're so like energetic, and I'm just like, I think there was a time you used to be that way, Jeliza. I'm just like,
you still are.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean there are a lot of exhausting days. I mean, a lot of time, like during the week, especially after like school, it's like I'll just go home and like not even like turn on the TV, and it's just like I think being able to go home to no one and nothing is like that chance to like reset, because everything else in my life is just like constant and going all the time. So it's like recliner, like lights off, TV off, just nothing.
Yeah.
Take a break.
You like recognize that like with the patterns of your life and what your year look like, that you're like, this is how I'm gonna recharge, and like I thought about that today, because usually like on these stretches, like from Friday to Monday, like I am just like all day long. Like I do have a dog, and I'm just like, oh, my poor baby during Friday through Monday, like, but I'll be with you on during the week. But like, always by like Sunday, I'm starting to get like emotional. Like I'm like, what are you doing? And like, like, I just want to like cry because I'm proud of myself, but I'm also like, think I'm crazy. And then I'm like, and I'm like, just stop. And then I'm like, oh, like just today I realized, I was like, oh, Jeliza, this happens every Sunday night. You know this. And so I was able to be like, oh, cool. All right. Do your thing, girl.
Right. Expecting it.
Yep. And then I guess Monday, you'll feel different.
Right. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like, just figuring out what that is that like fills your cup and recharges you, and like I said, that moment of silence. I just came from Sunday dinner at the parentals at mom and dad's house, so it's like having family in town, is kind of just a nice little cup filler too before, a big week. And, one thing I've been trying to do is like an opportunity to get out of town like once a month, at least once a month, and just experience other things. I found myself kind of just getting to that same just like repetition of like the same thing, and not like that Dickinson's a bad place. Like, I've lived here all 35 years of my life. Like, I love Dickinson.
Awesome.
I love giving
back
to the community. Right?
I love this. Yes, stinking town.
But like, there's a lot of world outside of Dickinson too, and lots of like great people. And for example, I was telling you earlier, we just did a very last minute trip to Grand Forks this weekend for my friend's birthday, and just getting to interact with different people and different opportunities. Went to the UND hockey game and went out afterwards, and there was like this group of ladies dressed as grandmas celebrating a birthday, and we just ended up hanging out with all these grandmas for a few hours, and it was people like people will take a lot out of me sometimes, but people are also like that energy, that kind of cup filler moment to just being social and being out there.
And just the spurt of the moment's exciting too. Absolutely. It's like thrilling, and your adrenaline kicks in, and you're like, sure, like why not?
Yeah.
Were you always this way? Because it feels almost like fearless. Like it's like, that might be shaky ground for other people to just like. For sure. Really
just put themselves out there.
Yeah. Or just like, why not go all the way down and then come all the way back?
Right.
Like
really
that might
driving 5 hours like twice to hang out there for like 10. I'm like,
I mean, we go to Disneyland or whatever and sit for an hour for a 2-minute ride, maybe even less.
So might as well. I mean, in North Dakota, it's going to take you a long time to get somewhere. To do something. I wouldn't say I've always been as fearless. Kind of as we were talking earlier, I'm like, I know something about like these last few years of like early to mid 30s. I think my priorities have become more clear. And I think that part of that is just like not afraid to be myself and just live my life and not worry about what other people think or their opinions. I'm like small town, but I'm out here doing everything I can to improve it, and if you don't like it, then there's plenty of people that do, and I'm just going to focus my attention to where the positivity is, and I just find people that just give off that energy, and I'm just really good at finding people like that in a crowd. I went to Minneapolis a couple weeks ago, and we were at a drag brunch with some friends, and my brother came, and like the host of the show just
I hear those things are so amazing.
So much fun.
Oh my gosh.
But the host of the show just had so much just like, just around someone and you can just feel their like positivity and joy and their just love of life, and you just drawn into that. Like I think like you and I. Like anytime that I ever bumped into you or anything, it was like you just have that energy. You just give off that energy, and I know people have said that about me too. And I think that just people attract like that, and just constantly cup fillers. And so someone said like added her on social media, and we've been chatting and stuff, and it's just like you're just a very energetic person. Kind of just following the journey. And
that's so cool. That's so cool. But there's a reason for that, because we're all energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're all just like made of energy, and so like when the energy is the same wavelength, then like naturally you're going to connect.
Right. Yeah. And I think so often people just focus on the negatives, or they let the negative just bring them down, and
How?
I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really know.
Because I'm so guilty of that too,
Yeah.
of just like getting in that spiral, and I'm just like, yeah, you know, like how do we stay up there? Well, we should feel all the things.
Right.
So that's important too. But like life is awesome, and Canton is beautiful and exciting, and yeah. So it's like, how do we get to how do you? I'm curious how you got to that energetic frequency.
It's just kind of focusing on those priorities and like not sweating the small stuff, which is way easier said than done. You know, because like I said, especially after a long day of work, or the red Kia I was stuck behind on 94 today that just wouldn't switch lanes. You know, and I'm like, what can I do to control it? You know, like I can't do anything to make this car move lanes.
Totally, right.
So
Release
I have
the
to
control.
pass on the right side. You know? Just whatever, fine. But just really like that whole like circle of influence, circle of control, like thinking about, like this the ebb and flow of life, like everything is going around me, but like what are my priorities? But you know, what can I control? What can't I control? And just kind of focusing on that, I guess.
Do you think there's a way that we can find that comfortability of our authentic self sooner, or is that just part of everybody's journey? And it's like around just this time I think it clicks.
Right. I think it's definitely just part of everyone's journey. I think it just happens. I don't know that that's something that can be forced. For me, I'd have like so many people being like, wait, you're like born and raised here? Wait, you went to college here? Wait, you're still here? Like you're still in Dickinson? Like Southwest North Dakota? I said, yeah, like my people are here. My family, my friends, like I like my job, I like the things we're doing. But a big thing for me was like making it a priority to get out of town and see a little bit more of the world. Or even within town, stepping outside of that comfort zone of like, who are my people, and like getting involved in different organizations and getting to know different people. I think that helps, you know, kind of, you can get like kind of stuck in a rut almost, or just like, you know, just complacent with so many things in life, but to just push yourself kind of outside of that comfort zone, I think helps one to kind of discover who they are, where those priorities lie, and things like that.
That just gave me like a huge idea of just, if there's something that's not for you here, then create it.
Absolutely.
Too.
Absolutely.
You know, because go ahead, no, please.
I think that's a big thing with like the Southwest Art Gallery and Science Center. Once again, I'm working on pushing lots of things for the public schools, but like what is that? How can we continue that into the community? Or what about the the homeschool community, the Catholic, the private schools, you know, the rest of the younger preschool aged kiddos, or how does that communicate to the summers and the weekends, you know? And so when I found that there was a group of people planning the Southwest Art Gallery and Science Center, I was like, yes, like let's take that work, some of the things that I've learned and done already here, and now let's just bring that out into the community, because you see amazing things like Gateway to Science in Bismarck.
Yeah.
That expansion, oh my God, that building is just gorgeous, and
so cool.
The exhibits are insane. And then seeing Fargo has one, and Grand Forks has one that they're building right now, and Minot has one that just opened up, and it's like, well, why not us? You know, we're looking at all these communities that we often compare ourselves to. We're obviously doing these sorts of things in the public schools, so why couldn't we have this for Dickinson, for the community?
Totally.
And you get, you know, the right people behind it, and we have an amazing board and growing group of supporters. We really, you know, like it's happening. We have a building.
Yeah.
Like we were just this crazy dream not very long ago.
Yeah.
And then we were just this group of people where we have center in our name, but really we were just storage in Janelle's garage and trying to be involved in every event. And people are like, oh, where are you located? We're like, oh, we're fluid right now.
Oh,
you know?
trust me, I know that stage. And so it's so inspiring to hear that story and that you shared that piece of it.
Yeah.
What kept you guys going through that?
Just the right.
Because you're like, yeah, we're going to totally do this thing, but we're working out of the garage. But like, we got a good idea, promise.
We had the right people, we had the right idea. And I think you get the right group of people and you can just make stuff happen.
Yeah.
And this group in particular is super passionate about Southwest North Dakota, super passionate the arts, super passionate about incorporating that like STEM piece, because that's one thing that's different compared, some of the science centers around is we really want to push art. And then we're looking at like some mental health pieces too, because we see the need, especially Southwest North Dakota. I mean, I know lots of people that travel an hour or more for, mental health professionals. And it's like...
So how are you going to incorporate that into...
So, we're looking at not only having just a space within the building, we're planning on having some office spaces available for rent, but Janelle Stone King...
I love that, because when I heard the building, I was like, wow, so what are they looking at in there, and so
Absolutely.
That's
so
really awesome.
She's done a ton of work looking into mental health and the arts, and then that's kind of trickled into that hands-on piece of mental health and being able to use your hands through therapy, whether it's creating art or science experiments. And think like having if we have like an adolescent psych or some mental health professional, and then to have the water table and talking about like using your hands and working through their emotions.
I stinking love this.
Yeah. And they've done some. I wasn't able to help. We've done some high school overnight art lock-ins at the high school. We did two of them last year. And I wasn't able to like fully help with them or be on the planning of them because once again, way overcommitted with things all the time. But I was able to attend or talk to them after, and they did such amazing things. It was just truly focusing on mental health and the arts. And they would, I can't remember the author, but I think it's called the book of, I'm not going to remember now. But anyway, the author, it's a collection of poems where they personify different like emotions that humans experience. And so they took these poems and then like they would like take one, and it's like happiness, and it's like she does this at school, and she sometimes she runs into fear or something like that, and it's just these beautifully personified poems of human emotion. And it's just like some of them are just raw amazing poems.
This is going to be incredible.
Like, with the students, and they pulled some purposefully and then had them like create some art projects with like based off of like their experiences of personifying like these emotions. And we put together an art installation that we've brought to like all of our events of some of the work these students did. And like I said, I wasn't at these events, but heard how powerful they were. And then to see the art afterwards, like there is amazing things. Like I think people don't give, especially high school students, don't give them enough credit.
Well, here's another thing too, is that we doubt our own creativity. We doubt our own mind. And like these type of workshops or these type of where you're encouraged and you're given a space to open up your mind and really not limit yourself. Like I used to think like I was just like good at like all I could draw was like stick figures, but then you just like give yourself the space to say like, no, if I just like allow myself to be the creative and just not and not like let the ego get in the way and like doubt what I'm capable of, then whatever comes out, whatever is on this piece of paper is art because it's my art.
Absolutely.
And it's so therapeutic. And the more that you continue to do that, so I feel like I'm rambling.
No, I love it.
But like, okay, so I'm part of this year-long mentorship program called the Change Network, and it's like, are you familiar with it?
Yeah,
they're part of the Bush Foundation, and they had a speaker come on who is from a tribe native to North Dakota. I don't know which one.
Sure.
But he made us do this. His name is Braveheart, and he invited us to create a mask of our journey. Because what they would do in the day is whatever horse was theirs, they put a mask on their face, and it represented their journey together. And so it was a beautiful experience where people really got to share as if like they were going out to battle on these horses, and this is my journey, and I'm painting it on my horse. And it was just, it got so deep. Everybody really opened up, and it was the way that he was able to transition the energy of the room beforehand to after we created these masks, and the connection that the deeper connection we all shared after that, because we shared our journey together. It was so powerful.
That's incredible.
And he better come to this
absolutely.
thing.
I know,
I was like, you and me need to talk later, because I'm also thinking, just like with the sound bowls and stuff that I do, and how great that would be to like come in there and just, allow that type of thing too. And so awesome this is so cool.
Yeah, and then
I'm gonna be like, gateway to science, what? Like
absolutely. And it's cool, like being involved in so many different organizations, and then when I can kind of be that crossover with them. So one of the lock-ins, I was doing Godspell with the Badlands Opera Project. One more thing, right? We're back to community theater. So
I love
Badlands
it.
Opera Project.
You're just like opera, art, theater. I'll do it all.
So it's so cool for us to have that organization in town now too. I'd never attended an opera till they came to till they started their organization in Dickinson, and I was able to go to a mall, and then they did Godspell for their second production, which I was involved in, but it was during the overnight lock-ins, and so they reached out, and one of the their activities was for confidence, and they're like, hey, do you think you and a couple cast members can come in, promote the show, promote the organization, but just come in and do a little spiel on confidence. And so, we mentioned it. I kind of got them in touch with the directors and the board for Badlands Opera Project. And we had the majority of the cast was like, yeah, we got done with rehearsal. We all hauled it over to DHS for the lock-in. And they were just blown away. They were expecting 1 or 2 volunteers, and here, pretty much the entire cast came.
To talk about confidence, huh?
Yeah,
cool.
So we talked about the show. We even got them. We rolled the piano in, and we taught them choreo to one of our songs, and we sang and performed for them, and let them dance with us. Invited them, in the circle, and then did an activity the worst audition. They had to purposefully create terrible auditions, so then if they were to ever audition for a show or interview for a job, they've already had the worst ones out of the way. So we had talked about that, and it was a ton of fun. And they actually ended up completely changing the schedule, because the kids were so engaged with what we were doing that I think they had given us 30 or 45, and an hour and a half later, we're still having these. We broke off in groups around the auditorium at DHS, and having these just deep conversations about confidence, and just how that can talk about it in the arts, but I mean in any aspect of their lives, and it was super cool.
It's
and
so
I said,
important.
essentially to see 2 organizations that I was involved in coming together. And I think that's all that's just Dickinson in a nutshell. Is literally we have all these amazing groups and things, and then the moment that we can get them connected and involved together, then just even more amazing things can happen.
Yeah, this town is I'm pretty pumped for it.
I'm so glad to have. We're so glad to have you back.
But I just that. I just had this thought that came through where it's so awesome that this stuff is happening for the kids, because it's such a light. You're such a light with the energy that you bring to the opera, the energy that you bring to the theater and the library. All of it is such a light, and kids need that's important to them. I think about growing up, and I just remember the lights that I that I loved, and those people just were so inspiring. They helped me become the person that I want to be, and still to this day, and it's just, sometimes you just never know where a child might be at, and that little spark that you give them is such a huge game changer for the way that they can look at life.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Or I think about maybe the children who aren't really into the sports, and it's like now this place is opening up, and you're able to light up the heart of somebody who's been kind of just like on this journey alone a little bit, and it's so cool that that's happening.
It's so good for our community. Like I said, having grown up here, everything was just sports all the time. And I was from junior high. I started theater. I was at Trinity, and then that kind of just carried through. And then it, like I said, branched out into different community things. And sports wasn't my thing, but I always loved attending sports.
Oh yeah.
I
feel like you're gonna, no matter what you do, you're gonna be like, I love this. I love this.
Yeah, let's go.
It's all about the mindset.
Absolutely. And just knowing that outside of school, there wasn't a ton of opportunities. Even when I graduated DSU, I was like, well, now what? And that's when I found the dinner theater. And at the time, there really wasn't a lot of other community theater going on. So I was like, I need that. I've had this for this whole chapter of my life. Where am I going to get this? And it's creating those and sharing those opportunities. And Badlands Opera Project did a children's show this summer. They did they put together Sound of Music Junior in 1 week, and I was so bummed because another thing I'm involved in. We do an English language learner summer camp for the Dickinsons public schools. So that's been a new project that we've started, which has been a ton of fun. So our camps happen to be the same week, so I wasn't able to help out with Badlands Opera Project in their production, but I went to it, and it was just insane and so cool to especially see students. In my role as library media specialist, I'm at 3 of the 6 elementary schools. So I have 900 kids.
Wow.
450. I think there's 900 elementary students right now enrolled.
Yeah.
So cool.
To be able to connect those kids in the future to something like that is so awesome.
And even the ones that are, involved in more than, getting a chance to do both. In high school, we had started. Trinity does the living stations of the cross, and that started when I was, I think it was my senior year.
I don't know what that is.
So it's just like Easter, Jesus's last, right, the stations of the cross. Okay, so we did a production of it, and it was part of our religion class, and so it was a requirement of our senior class. And so as kids forcing, we had insane, our class won state everything that year, not a brag because I don't play sports so much. But we had a very athletic class. And then so now we're forcing all of these athletes to be on stage and do a theatrical production essentially. And they're just I remember them coming up Troy, how do you do this? It's just so outside of their comfort zone. But afterwards they were I'm kind of bummed that I was forced to get out of my comfort zone in the spring of my senior year, because now that I did one, they're I would consider doing that again.
Gosh, that's so
Or in college we would
cool.
we would have student directed 1X, and so we would post purposely go put up the flyers in the locker rooms at DSU. And we would occasionally get some of the athletes to come audition, and they're I've always had this in the back of my mind, and I saw it posted in the locker room, so why not? And it was so cool just to give them, an opportunity to try something that they would have never done before. And now to see that that's happening more and more in our community for everyone, it just gives that opportunity to just be a more, well-rounded person and just have different experiences.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Those high school football team just made me realize that it's so important to always try new things, because for one, why not? You never know if you will like it. But then for two, also, they got to see what it feels like for you, and connection is so important, and to understand what it's like to be in somebody else's shoes, and and just be able to see things from a different lens. That's so cool. that.
Yeah.
Thank you, football team.
Right? Absolutely. It was honestly like that. Like brought our class. Like it just really brought our class together because it truly like they got to see both sides of it. And that last play, that last concert, they were all in the front row. You know, like I was always in the front. You know, and it was just super cool.
And just cheering each other on. What a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
A whole lifetime ago, but but yeah, it was super cool.
I feel like maybe the pursuit of purpose. We had somebody that came on before, and we were talking about the pursuit of happiness and how it's more so like the pursuit of purpose. And I'm over here sitting across from just like this like you're like sunshine, right? I'm just like, man, what is making this guy radiate so much, you know? And I'm just trying to put it together. And I'm like, your purpose, the pursuit of all the different purposes that you have. Like, it's so motivating. It gives you life. It breathes life into you.
Absolutely.
And it's like, and then you're happy because it's something you love. And that's like, wow, that is so cool.
Yeah, it's kind of that building that legacy, you know, like I think is so important and never really considered. And then it's like, you know, approaching middle age, whatever they call it these days. You know, but it's like, what am I leaving behind? And I'm like, you know, I know that. Like I said, I don't have a lot of treasure to give, but I got some time and some talent, and I can put it towards things that are important to me and leave that legacy.
Yeah.
You know, like I love Dickinson, and maybe he'll be here forever, but maybe not. But at least I know that if I do move on, like I've left a legacy of, you know, things that are important, and that's why I get so involved with the community. And, you know, on the library board and Southwest North Carolina Science Center board, and I'm on the alumni committee at DSU, and you know, like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, why not?
It's that leave it better than you found it. Leave that legacy. Not that it's you know, it's not.
Drop some sunshine in the room.
Right.
A little bit of light here and there. Gosh, it makes me like wonder, like North Dakota is so special. Like when you see the sign, like the legendary North Dakota, it really feels that way. You know, I mean, just like the spirit that's within you, that's like so involved and loves this. You've been here forever, but you still love this place, and that's so just special. Yeah.
Yeah, I always, you know, thought about like, I mean, my parents are both born and raised in Dickinson too, and I was like, God, you didn't go or do, and now it's like the older I get and the more involved I get in the community and see things happen, and it's just like, okay, well, that makes sense. Like there's a lot to this community, and there's a lot more that can still happen, and I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like it's going to be an endless, just awesome journey of the next idea and the next thing you're helping with, and what an exciting way to live.
Yeah. Yeah, things get busy, and you know, sometimes being involved in all of these different boards and things, and volunteer work in general, in addition to education, all ever like can feel very like thankless in some situations. You know, where there's not really like an opportunity. You know, it's like not like working up the corporate ladder and making all these big, you know, leaps and bounds and all of these things. Volunteering time, you know, it's like I had a conversation with one of my friend's boyfriends once, and he's like, when are you guys gonna start getting paid for what you do? I was like, well, unfortunately, when you have a passion project, no one's paying you to pursue it. And so, you know, and when it comes to things like being asked to sit and chat, you know, for tea time, or actually this just a couple weeks ago at homecoming at DSU, I was awarded the 2020, what year is it, 23? Young Hop Award, and which is just like 50 and under, you know, an impact on the university and the community. I'm like, okay, people see it. You know, like people see it.
Yeah.
You're just constantly running and trying to refill the cup, and then it's like, oh yeah, okay. People recognize it. And so it helps that, you know, that then refills the cup, rebuilds the energy, and it's like, okay, what I'm doing is making a difference.
Yeah.
Seeing things like, you know, the years we've put in planning the Southwest Art Gallery, now it's like, now there's a building, so now it's like, okay, now that's the next step. Like, okay, people see it. You know, people recognize it, and it feels good. Because
that's
like
like
I said,
what
a lot of volunteer work can go by without any reward, and not like I'm not doing it for me, you know, but like everyone needs their cup filled, and so I've just really felt that appreciation like just recently, especially with that award through DSU.
Yeah.
And you know, other things like the DSU was like, hey, you want to be on Hawk Talk? And right around the same time, they're like, hey, let's do some tea time.
Yes.
I was
oh
like, okay,
my gosh.
yes, okay. I was like, okay,
wow,
what I'm doing
universe,
is being
thank
seen
you.
and it's being appreciated, and that in itself kind of fills the cup too, for sure.
Yeah. Well, like we had a conversation with the state rodeo goat tying champion, and she's 17 years old.
Love
also.
it.
Yeah. And we were talking about how like it's not even about the prize, but for some reason the prize or like the trophy or the award or something, it feels like a milestone where that you get to reflect back on the journey.
Absolutely.
And then because
in
the moment of of the like just the vision, the idea phase, you kind of are just like you know, what this is passion, and that's why you're pursuing it. But sometimes there are those moments where you kind of like question, what are you doing, or should I be crawling up the corporate ladder, or this is paying nothing, but it's something I love, and so I'm chasing it. And then all of a sudden there's like a life that you've changed, or a person that you've connected with, or an award that you get that you weren't expecting, and it's like, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm in the right direction.
I love that idea of just that, like looking at it as that journey, like that.
Gosh, I'm just like you being your authentic self, right? And you were saying like that's kind of happened within the couple years, has like opened up the doors to you like receiving this award because you were brave enough to just be yourself.
Yeah, 100%. That's awesome.
That's so awesome.
I think you're gonna make my mom cry. Eyes are getting sweaty. It's hot in here, right? But truly, like I appreciate that, and that's it. That is, you put words to what I was feeling, and absolutely.
I'm like so proud of you.
Thank you.
Wow, that's really amazing. You should be so proud of yourself.
I am insanely proud. I truly am insanely proud. Like, it's great.
Thank you for being who you are.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I'm glad I can be. Like I said, share those passions.
Can I hug you right now? Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for being here too.
I'm glad we got it to work. You know, my crazy schedule.
I'm like,
do this thing. Well, how about this one?